When she reached for the handle, her knuckles turned white from the sheer weight of the suitcase. It was far heavier than it should have been, and for a brief moment, she almost lost her balance. She caught herself quickly, but not before a flicker of confusion crossed her face. Masking it with a strained grin, she glanced at me, searching for a reaction. "Wow, did you pack rocks in here?" she asked, laughing lightly, but there was an edge to her voice. I shrugged, keeping my expression neutral. "You've got everything you need in there," I replied, my tone deliberately flat. "It's a special trip after all." She hesitated for just a second before flashing that same fake, rehearsed smile she had been using on me for months. "You're so thoughtful," she murmured, leaning in to kiss me on the cheek. Her lips felt cold, disconnected. I watched in silence as she wheeled the suitcase out the door. The small wheels squeaked under the weight as she made her way to the car. I stood motionless, my heart pounding in my chest, until her car disappeared down the street. Only then did I allow myself to exhale. It was showtime. Her name was Amanda. We had been married for 8 years, together for 10. For most of that time, I would have described us as happy, comfortable. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our shared dreams. Or at least I thought we did. That illusion shattered 3 months ago. It had been an ordinary evening. Amanda had left her phone on the kitchen counter while she went upstairs to take a shower. I wasn't snooping, at least, not intentionally. But when the screen lit up with a message preview, my eyes betrayed me. "Can't wait to see you this weekend. Miss you like crazy." It was signed, Brent. My heart sank. Brent. Who the hell was Brent? We didn't have any friends named Brent. There wasn't a Brent at her workplace. I racked my brain, searching for any mention of the name, but came up empty. A chill ran down my spine. I had learned enough in my life to know that jumping to conclusions wouldn't get me anywhere. I needed proof. Hard proof. And so, over the next few weeks, I became a master of deceit. Amanda thought she was the puppeteer, pulling the strings, but she had no idea I was already unraveling the tangled web she and Brent had woven. I installed a keylogger on her laptop when she left it unattended, tracking every email and chat. I followed her once, keeping a safe distance, as she worked late at a fancy hotel downtown. And the final piece? A GPS tracker in her car. What I discovered was disgusting. Every lie she told, every excuse she made, every "I love you" she whispered to me before sneaking off to meet him cut me deeper than any blade could. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. Then, one evening, she casually announced her weekend getaway with the girls. I nearly laughed. Now that I knew what to look for, her fabricated stories were full of holes. Too many friends who were conveniently unavailable to confirm plans. Too many last-minute changes. Too many lingering scents of cologne on her blouse. She was the puppet, not the puppeteer. "I've got some projects around the house to keep me busy," I told her when she kissed me goodbye. She smiled, oblivious. "You're the best." I played my part to perfection, even helping her pack. While she picked out her favorite outfits, ones I knew she would wear to impress him, I was preparing my own suitcase. Not with clothes. With evidence. Brent lived in a high-rise condo on the other side of the city. I had visited the area countless times, mapping out his routine, learning his habits. When I arrived that evening, I parked down the street, watching from the shadows. Amanda's car was already there, parked crookedly in her haste to get inside. I waited an hour. Then, heart pounding, adrenaline flooding my veins, I walked up to the door and knocked. Firmly. Authoritatively. The door opened. There he was. Brent. Late 30s, dark hair, an expensive watch gleaming under the hallway light. He smiled at first, assuming I was a stranger. Then he saw my face. His expression flickered with recognition. His hand twitched slightly, unsure whether to close the door. I didn't give him the chance. With a sharp shove of my shoulder, the door swung open, and I stepped inside. "Hey, Brent." My voice was ice. "You and I need to have a little chat." Amanda appeared in the hallway, wrapped in a robe, her face going pale the moment she saw me. "Mark." Her voice wavered. "What are you doing here?" I ignored her. My eyes locked onto Brent's. "You know who I am, don't you?" I asked, my tone eerily calm. He swallowed hard. I think you should go. I chuckled, bitter and cold. Oh, I'll go. But not before we talk. I reached into my bag and pulled out a stack of papers. Photos. Screenshots of their messages. Hotel receipts. I tossed them onto the coffee table like confetti. Brent's eyes widened as he scanned the damning evidence. Amanda's gaze darted between him and me, her breath quickening. Mark, please, she started, her voice shaking. Let's talk about this privately. I turned to her, my rage barely contained. Privately? I scoffed. Like you privately screwed him behind my back? Her lips trembled. Tears welled in her eyes. But she didn't get to cry. Not anymore. I turned back to Brent, who looked like he wanted to sink into the floor. Your wife, I said, my voice laced with venom. His head snapped up. What? I smirked. Oh yeah. I found her contact information. Lovely woman. I'm sure she'll appreciate knowing what her husband has been up to. Amanda choked back a sob. Mark, please don't. I ignored her. If you ever come near my wife again, I told Brent, I'll make sure everyone in your professional circle knows exactly what kind of man you are. Then I turned and walked out. The silence behind me was deafening. The fallout was swift. I mailed the evidence to Brent's wife the next day. Amanda filed for divorce within a week. She begged for forgiveness. I wasn't interested. As I stood in my now empty house, I realized something. I had lost a wife, but I had gained freedom, and justice had been served.